My next guest has got another big fight coming up here against Cynthia Calvillo, UFC 287, April 8th. It's Loopy Godinez back here on the program. Loopy, how are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome, but not as good as you. What an awesome fight this is. We'll talk about that in one sec, but before we get into that, I wanted to talk about your friend Alexa Grasso winning the UFC flyweight title. How cool was that as someone who's trained with her?
Oh, it's amazing. I was so happy for her and her team. Um, you know, I knew she was gonna win. I've been in her camp, and I know the way they train, how hard they train. Like, her coach is amazing. They had like they can just watch a fighter and tell you, okay, that fighter is gonna do this, so now you have to do that, and then like they're really like that. And I know there's just repetition after repetition, and I was just like so excited. It's like I call him, he's like a witch. He can just predict things. Is amazing.
Did,
Yeah, so really happy. I'm gonna get to see her in Miami, and then Mexico. We're gonna go celebrate. So I'm really excited.
That's awesome. Did you expect her to finish Valentina? I think that was one of the surprising things in the sense that, Valentina's fought Amanda Nunes twice. She's lost before in the UFC, but never by stoppage.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna be a finish. I know Alexa, that's what she wanted to do, and I knew it was gonna get finished. It was just a matter of time, like what round, And we saw that she was hurt in the first round. We also saw that I saw Valentina breathing a little bit heavier, than usual. And Alexa was calm, calm, calm. She was barely breathing hard, right? So it was. I knew it was gonna come eventually. Yeah.
Do you think Valentina might have underestimated her a little bit in the fight? I don't know if, like, just watching the fight, did you maybe feel like maybe she didn't give her enough credit?
Yeah, I think that's what happened. I think she was just a little too loose with that. But you cannot just how do you say that word? Underestimate.
Underestimate, yeah.
Underestimate anyone, because there's gonna be surprises.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Let's talk about you, though. We haven't seen you in a bit. I think your last fight was in August. We're talking about a fight here in April. Was this by design, or were you trying to fight a little bit sooner than this?
Well, I wanted to fight sooner than later. We know that. But this is how it worked out, and it's good. I got to work a lot of myself, a lot of adding new tools, getting my team stronger, and yeah, I'm so ready, so ready.
Yeah. Did you do any cross training in between there? I know sometimes you like going to different gyms.
Yeah, well, I was gonna go to Mexico, uh, a month out of Alexa's fight, but then I had to do my visa stuff, so I can, to go to the States. So that didn't happen. But yeah, rematch. In her rematch, I'll go there.
Okay, well, there we go. What did you learn the most from that last fight against Angela Hill?
Yeah, well, I learned that I can hang with a striker. She's been around for a long time. I almost finished, she wobbled in the first round, and I just I'm not gonna say that I get more confidence, and I'm not gonna say that take confidence away from me, because I know what I can do and what I'm capable of doing. I mentioned this before, but when I was going through the fight, I was hurt for about a month and a half or 2 months. After cardiolosis, I pulled my hip.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Yeah, so I couldn't train properly. Well, I wasn't training for at least a month, and then when I started like getting back to it a little bit, just doing technique, I get the call, can you fight in October, right? Then I'm like, oh, perfect, that's enough time, whatever. Then 2 weeks later, or something like that, I get another call, hey, can you take the fight in 2 weeks, right? uh then I'm like, 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 it kind of sound like they were losing fights and the car was too low. So I kind of felt like, well, this is my job. And yes, like, my hip is getting better. I was starting to move a little bit more. So I'm like, I'm gonna take it. And I don't degrade it, because even with my hip like that, barely training, I took I took the loss. But went through decision, and I hang with her, that she's really good and she's been around for so long. So yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Was was it something you had to like rehab or do after the fight, like with the injury? Because it sounds like it was still an issue, like even during the fight, like you said.
Yeah, well, rehab, right? But
Mhm.
because I wasn't training, I couldn't push off, I couldn't hit when I was training, I couldn't pivot when I was training, I couldn't do wrestling, obviously, or jiu-jitsu, a little tingling. So I just was, just enjoying my time off, and rehabbing my leg. And yeah.
Okay, well there you go. So you're fighting Cynthia Calvillo. Just how surprised with you of getting this fight, just in the sense that Cynthia hasn't fought at strawweight since 2019.
I didn't thought much about it. I thought, oh, great, another good name.
Mhm.
She's been around for a long time too, um, and I think it's a great matchup for me.
Yeah, it is. How do you look at this fight stylistically? We know Cynthia is a very scrappy fighter. How do you look at your skill set against hers? How do you feel like you match up against her?
Yeah, I think we match amazing. I think it's gonna be a really good fight. It's gonna be a little bit of everything, which is great. And I'm looking to have a dominate performance, and that's what's gonna happen.
That's great. Training camp, who have been some of the main training partners helping you get ready for this fight?
My main girl, Sarah Kaufman. She's been, since, well, she's gonna become a police officer pretty soon here.
Oh, I
So
didn't know that. That's cool.
yeah, so she's going to school for that here in Vancouver. So they sent her to Vancouver for 15 weeks, I believe. So
Okay.
pretty much that's when they give me the fight. So pretty much we've been working this whole time. So cannot get better than this. Like, she's
Sarah Kaufman, one of the best women's fighters ever, who I don't think gets nearly enough credit with some of the work that she's done in her career. You know what I mean? So
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
yeah, no, that's awesome. How about the weight cut? I know we got lots of time, but when does that process start with you trying to cut down to 125? Or sorry, 115, not 125.
Oh, I'm good. I'm actually, like, my coaches are like, you gotta eat more, So I'm
Okay.
enjoying this whole process. As I say, it's a long time to get ready, so I'm just enjoying eating a little bit more. It's just amazing. I'm really good. I'm in a really good shape. I'm in a really good spot, and I'm just so looking forward to this.
Any concerns about her making weight? I mentioned there she hasn't fought at strawweight since 2019. Part of the reason was she had trouble making 115. Has that crossed your mind at all going into the matchup?
Um, I mean, I will fight her no matter what way she shows up, 150, 140, 130. I don't care. That's not my concern. My main concern is I just want her to be healthy enough to step in the cage with me so we can fight. That's
Mhm.
all I care about. And yeah.
Okay. Anything different for your corner, or is it going to be the same corner this time around for the fight?
Yeah, same. Colin James, Kentron, and Nabil Salame.
Love it. And how's this fight playing out on April 8th? One thing with Cynthia, she's really tough to finish. So I think we're all expecting kind of like a 3-round war here. But how do you see it playing out?
Oh yeah, and I'm so excited. I think it's just gonna be a fun fight, and this fight is the type of fight that it will help me to show all my skills, and like put me really on the light, and to people to see what can I do, what I'm capable of doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a big name, like you mentioned. Remind me, how many more fights do you have left on your contract? Do you know how many more fights you have?
I go, it was 4, then I go Angela, then this one, then it will be 2 more after this one.
Right. Oh, so yeah, that's right. Angela was the first fight on the new deal, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And any update? Have you been hearing anything about them coming to Mexico? I think now with 2 champions, you've got Brandon Moreno, you've got, well, technically you could even say 3 because Yair Rodriguez is an interim champ, but you've got obviously Yair, you've got Moreno, and now Grasso. How cool would that be to be a part of a card coming to Mexico?
Oh, that would be amazing. Like, can you imagine being the same car with them, and with Alexa? Like, I'm really good friends with her, and I love her so much. So, like, that would be so good to share the car with her.
How much of a big deal is it Alexa winning? Like, because I'm sure your family back in Mexico, like everyone's probably kind of keeping tabs on this. Is this like a really big deal, her winning the title?
Yeah, well, my mom told me that when she was watching her, she felt like she was watching me. So she was like, I was so nervous, blah blah blah, and I know she gets really nervous. So yeah, like they know, like how great she is because like we're friends, and so they like her so much too, and yeah, it's great.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. And last question, what have you been up to for downtime? We've been getting some weird weather here in Vancouver, by the way. I got to point this out. We had snow a couple weeks ago, and then now it's like kind of sunny out, but still a little bit cold. You going doing any hiking or anything like that?
With my dog, yeah, every day we do something. And I live here in Burnaby Mountain, which we have so
Love
many.
Burnaby Mountain. It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a few, so there is the water on the trails. So yeah, so I get to do a little hikes with him, and that's it. Short hikes because
Yeah. You
I
got
got.
training and everything else, right? You don't want to overdo it. So that makes sense. Loopy, thanks so much for doing this. We're looking forward to it. It's UFC 287, April 8th in Florida. If there's anyone you'd like to thank before we get out of here, any sponsors, any social media you'd like to mention, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, of course. Well, everyone that has been supporting me, my sponsors, my coaches, thank you for having me, and yeah, see you April 8th.